Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Ultimate Texas Podcast. Woo! Yeah. We got the radio gods up here. We're talking radio. We're talking some cool Texas stuff, and I'm sure everything in between. We're talking about, Kenny's going to talk about his dog a little bit here and what
That'll be
he's
fun.
doing. Yeah, it's kind of
I like it.
what he's got going on today. But it's going to be a good one. We're here at the Republic Boot Company stage where we're talking about Texas as well. So stay tuned. Welcome back, guys, to the Ultimate Texas Podcast. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good. It looks like we got a one-legged man coming to see us today.
We do.
Right.
Where's Fireball Bill, man?
I don't know. Where is he?
No, because we got two of the radio gods coming up here, and I'm super excited. I know they're extremely busy, and but they're taking time out to really talk to us about some good Texas stuff.
Love it.
Radio and charities and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, they're some cool guys. So look forward to having them up here.
Yeah.
Let's welcome them up.
Come on out. We got Steve Johnson and we got Kenny Webster.
All right.
See you, man.
Welcome, guys.
How are you? Thank you very much.
He thinks, yeah, so Tiffany, he's the producer.
Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, boys? How you doing, gentlemen?
Good to see you.
See that
On-
there?
On the other side of the microphone.
This food has been in many liberals' anuses. Are we allowed to talk like that on the show?
I don't think that's allowed. Kenny.
No.
It's okay.
That's Kenny Webster. I'm Steve Johnson.
Hi.
Just to make sure it's, yeah. So how are you guys doing? Thank you guys for coming on here. On the other side of the microphone, you guys are killers, and so I'm a little bit, starstruck.
You don't have to be intimidated by us. I just had my dog's anal glands leaked, so that's what I've been. What are you guys doing?
Kind of the same thing, yeah.
I just came from doing that.
I think. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's easy to do, but I still pay someone.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
The Walton and Johnson Show, really, I mean, for years and years, you've been doing it for a long time. I've been producing it, right, for 12 years or something like that?
I created this radio show in 1983.
Yeah. He was actually born in 1983.
I decided to bring Steve and John on at some point. It made Walton and Johnson made sense. I'm neither Walton nor Johnson.
Sure, but it was your idea.
Yeah.
From the beginning. Yeah.
You know,
What,
I'm
6 months old?
Yep, that's right.
He was about 6
He was a
I was about a year old.
Child progeny.
And I said there should be a show in Texas, which is weird because I didn't even live at this end of the country at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love is that it's radio, right? Radio's been in Texas for 100-something years, and it's still going strong. I mean, people are like, no, the digital stuff's going to, phase it out. You're going to have it go through computer wave. Dude, it's fantastic. It's still on the AM radio station. It's great.
And FM,
Yeah. We were just talking about this morning that apparently these college kids that are out protesting right now all over the place found it really cool that they were featured on their local college radio station.
Yeah.
So after 100+ years, it's still cool to be on the radio.
Yeah.
College kids say so, and they know what they're talking about.
Clearly.
Don't question them.
I love that you can take some of the absurdness that's out there and really make it funny.
Yeah,
Some people are kind of scared and kind of shy away from it. I know you guys don't. I listen to you guys all the time. It's one of the greatest shows,
We have
I think, on radio.
pretty much made a living out of just joking about almost anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of little things that we try not to get
Steer
into
clear
too
of.
much. But leave it to this guy. He actually
Don't care.
has to bring up the forbidden subjects occasionally. But that's what keeps us on our toes.
I don't know how you stay on your toes, to be honest, because you guys don't
Especially-
rehearse it, right? I mean, you're just going on the fly.
No rehearsing. We get up there around 5-ish, go on at 5:30.
What time do you go to bed?
9:30?
Probably 3, 4 a.m.
Keeping it.
Yeah, still young. He can still pull that
I don't
off.
know how you
Extra
do it.
sleep for preparation. I like it.
Over the last 41 plus years, there have been 2 nights where I just stayed up. Of course, it was a long time ago. And I didn't go to bed and just went back to work at 5 the next morning.
Just grinding through
And
it.
by 6 or 6:30, you're just regretting every second.
Yeah.
You just-
You got to be on. you know?
yeah.
You know?
You got to step up and do what you do. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
you-
Kenny's been with the show for, I guess, 13 years now, I think.
2012, 12 years, yeah.
Okay.
Coming up on year number 13.
And
As
yeah.
producer for a while, right?
Yeah,
And then-
producer when John Walton was with us, and we lost him 6 years?
Yeah, 2019.
19. Yeah, 5 years ago,
Wow.
1st of July.
He never lived to see Kamala as our vice president.
Of course, he also missed out on the pandemic and Biden's presidency.
A lot of fun. He would have.
He would have enjoyed all
He
that.
would have really enjoyed it. Yeah.
How was that transition from producer over to being on all the time? Was it seamless or was it?
It was. I mean, Steve and I, very good friends, like family. So to us, it was kind of a natural thing. I think it was very uncomfortable for the audience at first.
Yeah, like who's this guy? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
You got a very distinctive voice as well, so they know who you are. Like, oh,
They tend to pick up on that kind of a Chicago-y sound that Kenny has, but they get used to him.
Yeah.
And he's Texaned up quite a bit.
he's got boots now too.
I'm wearing-
You're wearing
Love
it.
it. Hey,
Oh, ostrich.
Got his
Yeah.
Republic. These are mine. That's why I just
We're gonna.
my
Oh,
sock,
there it is.
That's right. He's only wearing one boot. John created the show. John's a genius, and he's a legend in broadcasting. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have this show. And I say all that to make this point. Right now, I think the show's bigger than it's ever been. We just got on in Memphis, Birmingham, Alabama. We're on pretty much all over 1/4 of the country.
The
How many
best
stations?
quarter. About
19 stations.
19
yeah.
stations, fantastic.
And some of them dual broadcast. So
Yeah,
Great.
and it is mostly just regional Gulf Coast area. I think as far north as we go, Texarkana, Arkansas, which is fine because it's still the South. So it's a Southern show, Texas show. We were on live in New Orleans for 18 years, so we still have a lot of the whole Louisiana. New
Oh wow, I
Orleans,
didn't realize that 18 years.
LSU connection, all of that. So
Right.
we try to serve a various groups, but they're all in the general vicinity.
But you also keep it also Texas and Houston specific as well.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of just cool stuff about what's going on
And it is
in our
my
glorious city.
hometown. I was born at
Were
this
you?
place called Heights Hospital.
Oh, you were? I didn't know that. Okay.
How far is that from here?
Yeah,
it's walking
right.
distance.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know if Republic Boot Company was here when I was born there because I was very young, and I don't remember.
I guarantee you this building was here.
Yeah.
This
building's over 100 years old.
yeah.
You're not over 100 years old.
No,
so
not
it's
yet.
good.
is the hospital still open? Didn't something happen where they shut it
They
down?
were
and then
going to shut it down, but
Okay.
they didn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe Obamacare or something.
Right. They didn't think healthcare was a good investment.
Nah, probably not. Well,
So how did you get into the radio business? What was that kind of driving force to get you in?
believe it or not, I was working here in Houston after high school. I was working at a steel mill, pouring metal for oil well equipment, valves, and that
Cameron?
sort of thing.
Who was it?
TRW Mission.
Okay.
And so after
We used to have a lot at the day. Really.
yeah. We used to make stuff here in this country. you know?
Really?
So when I was
that like?
when I was working at the foundry pouring 2,000 degree metal, I kept thinking, there's probably an easier way to make a living. But I was young and still in my teens, and I thought, well, this is not that big a deal. And I was 18, and one of the top guys on my crew asked me one day how old I was. And I told him I'm 18. And he said, damn, I've been pouring steel as long as you've been alive. Because he was old. He was 36.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really old.
Been sitting in front of a furnace for probably 18 years. Probably
and
look a little
it
gnarly.
just kind of hit me that if I don't do something, I'm going to be him
You're
in
gonna be him.
18 years, and I'm going to be sitting there pouring steel still. And a high school teacher, and I know these stories, they sound kind
Love
of
it.
made up, but it's that old story of a teacher in high school said something to me in class one day that stuck with me. I got a C on my oral report. I didn't follow the directions and left stuff out. But afterwards, she said, but you do have a lovely speaking voice. And I had never heard that before. I didn't, and I just, tucked it away. And about 2 years later, I was like,
Lovely speaking voices.
people do make a living just talking.
Just talking, just saying
Yeah,
words.
Monday Night Football was a big deal, and so I thought, well, I'll just go replace Don Meredith or something.
Obviously.
Monday Night Football. So I went to broadcasting school here in Houston. It's called Elkins. It's right over there by what the Summit was, which is now a church. And after 6 months of broadcasting school, I got a job in Gina, Louisiana. And I thought, well, this is just how you start. But I'll go do Monday Night Football here real soon.
Obviously.
Sure.
And once I got into radio and realized people can't see you,
Yeah.
I fell in love with that. Because then you can create the world of imagination, and you can just have a lot of fun. And so That was in.
The voices come out then? The different kinds of-
Not back then. After about 4 or 5 years in radio, when John and I met, he found out that I tinkered around with doing a few character voices and things, and he was like, "Well, we ought to put a show together." And it was just that's how it happened. You know, it's like
Wow.
two guys just kind of met, chemistry kicked in, and
In Louisiana.
No, it was in Beaumont.
Oh, you're okay. So
Yeah, I worked in Gina, moved down to Alexandria. Then I got to Beaumont, and I was heading back home to Houston, and then we took a hard left and went to New Orleans. We got back here eventually, so it worked out pretty.
What
good.
was the first kind of comedy bit that you did back then that,
was
that
our,
involved some voices?
It was
and so-
Groundhog Day.
Okay, all right.
In 1983, and we had Mr. Haney come in,
Oh.
and he was confused about what kind of groundhog he was supposed to bring. And Mr. Haney from Green Acres, he comes along with groundhog. And we had to tell him that was not what we were expecting. And so then he, as what he was famous for on a show. And most people alive today probably don't remember Green Acres. Y'all are all way too young for all that. But Mr. Haney always had a way of making money off of things. If his cows got out, he charged people money because they lost weight running. So he figured out a way to charge us for his appearance on the show.
Nice.
So we figured Groundhog Day, 2/2/83, is our anniversary every year, and so we just passed 41 years.
Wow,
that's
congratulations.
awesome.
That's
That's
And
amazing.
when I say that, I get real tired. 41. And then, Kenny was born about a year before that, and we just kept waiting. We just killing time, waiting,
Right.
Waiting for him to
Waiting
come
for
out.
him.
Yeah.
show up.
Eventually got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks
What's
for
your
keeping
quick
it warm.
story? I mean, that's fascinating, right? I want to kind of get the whole blended thing, but what is? I know you're in Chicago. You're doing.
I grew up. I mean, I'm not really from Chicago, but it's just easier to tell people that.
And you work there.
It's like saying you're from Houston when you're from Spring. But,
Right.
I grew up. I grew up in a small town about an hour from Chicago in a place called Lake County, which is about as similar to Chicago as Waco is to Houston. It's a very different place. And went to the University of Illinois at Chicago. There was a college professor there named Bill Ayers. Do you guys know who that is?
I heard of it.
Bill Ayers is a convicted terrorist.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, and he was. It's a very political climate at UIC, and of course, right now, college campuses are very political. So all of this reminds me of what I was going through when I was in college, and I saw the politics and the extremism and the communists on campus and things, and I thought.
Like, what's going on here?
I immediately thought two things about it. I thought, number one, I don't know what I am, but I'm not what those people are.
Could be a terrorist.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And number two, I need to make fun of these people.
Yeah.
And so eventually I found my way to Q101, which is an alternative rock station in Chicago, where there was a radio show called The Man Cow Show. And Man Cow was
Man Cow,
kind
yeah.
of like, it was a similar audience as the Walton and Johnson Show, but the format's a little different. It wasn't like character voice art. It was just a little different how he did the show, but similar thing, like right-wing comedy, middle American, blue collar, making fun of the liberal media, that sort of thing. And I managed to, hit the ground running right out of college. I got a job there. And I kind of plateaued on that show at some point in my late 20s. And I thought, man, this is great, but I really don't like living in Chicago very much.
Yeah.
Was it chilly?
It was yeah, exactly.
Got a little nippy?
Yeah.
It was a little cold and a little too Marxist for me. It was a lot
At
of.
least you got that perspective. I mean, some people don't have that perspective. I'm glad you have it. Yeah.
No, I knew I wasn't a liberal. I knew I didn't
Yeah.
fit in.
Didn't
and
fit, right?
And I wanted to move somewhere warm where I could relate with the politics. And so I found this radio show in the South called the Walton and Johnson Show, and I started listening to. This is when podcasting a little over a decade ago first started to become big.
Yeah.
And their radio show, being a popular show in the South, immediately had a podcast audience. So I started listening to it on the internet, and I thought, well, this is hilarious. And I started sending them audio recordings of prank phone calls, comedy bits I did. And I
this guy? Yeah.
I didn't think anything would come out of it. But they said, you ought to come down here and we'll interview you. And I thought, all right. So I fly down to New Orleans, and they said, no, we're in Texas. It's like, oh, Texas? I thought you were in, they're all over the radio. So I didn't know where,
right, yeah.
it didn't matter where the home station was. And they didn't talk about that a lot on the show, so it wasn't really clear. I flew down to Houston. I don't know what I expected it to be like.
Cows and astronauts.
Exactly, right, yeah.
Astronauts
the car.
fighting cows.
Tumbleweeds, or I didn't know what to. It turns out Houston's kind of a bit like Florida, but that's besides the point. So,
Hey.
but I mean, palm
I hope
trees,
so.
humid, So I come and I meet them, and we hit it off, and that was immediately good for me. I moved down to Texas. I started writing for Breitbart. They had a new website called Breitbart Texas. I met Andrew Breitbart right before I moved down here. He was one of the guys that suggested I leave Chicago. Interesting. Right after I moved here, he died. I don't know what it means. It was just a weird thing that happened.
That's fascinating, though.
Yeah, I always thought that was interesting. And now you know the rest of the story. I was their producer for a while. John died. Everybody thought that was going to be the end of the show. We thought it was going to be.
Kinda, yeah.
Steve turned to me and he was like, "Why don't you just sit in his chair till the end of the year, and we'll get all the contracts."
6 years ago, something like
Yeah, we got contracts. We got to show up.
He didn't want to get sued by affiliates. And by the end of the year, the show was about as popular as it was. In some places, more popular. In some places, they took the show off the air immediately. And we didn't, it's a tough industry.
It's not real or something like that.
Well, it's like, okay, well, you got to change there.
Yeah.
We don't want to do
This wasn't the show we bought,
Yeah.
But now, that was 5 years ago. Now the show is probably, it's more than twice as big as it was then. I think at the time we had
It's really good.
a little less than 10 affiliates, and now we have almost 20. So
Did the show before have you do like the parodies and different things? It's hilarious. I don't know how you guys, how much time that takes to get like the people singing or these funny bits that are kind of put in there.
He can put these little bits together
incredible.
while he's doing the show. He can also be over here on the computer editing things and putting things together in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
He's.
I've noticed that about you.
he's
Can
a wizard.
definitely,
Yeah.
You're talking to me. You're doing this. You're trying to figure
Yeah.
out what's going on. It's
Which also helps him when he doesn't know what old guys are talking about. He can go on the internet and Google it up real quick and go, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
what the hell is Green Acres? Today we did a thing on the show where after the, for those, I don't know how many of you are watching this in real time or months later, but today's the day that the protest at Columbia University ended. And this was pretty historical because they had these protests in the late 60s, the early 70s. They protested apartheid in the 80s, and then now the Palestinian protest. And so today at Hamilton Hall, the police went in, they busted it. And it's 6 a.m, and we thought, well, what do? Where are the protesters going to go now? So we did a bit where they came and invaded our studio.
They were out in our hallway, starting trouble.
And we used filter effects to make it sound like they were busting down the door and the rioters came in.
It's
And,
hilarious.
Because they didn't have anywhere else to go.
That's
So
right.
Yeah.
Of course they went to
and then Billy
Your fault that we broke
Yeah.
up.
and then Billy Ed shows up and he goes, "Go on now, get."
Once you say go on, that it's over.
That's it. They had to leave.
Yeah.
A redneck showed up and that was the end. What are they going to
Whether you're talking to cows or protesters.
Yeah, they're not-
It all works.
I don't think hippies taking on a baby boomer redneck is a fair fight. It's just
No.
So how has this show morphed? How does it change? You said some of the audience has expanded and you've kind of gone into a little bit different area of maybe demo, or how has it really changed since you've come?
Or
How do
different
you-
bits. I mean, these bits, are you adding more bits into there?
We've tried to stick to the core, what the show is, what the audience expects. But it changes with the times more so than with who's doing the show. I mean, as long as we have, that continuity. But people would ask us, 10, 15, 20 years ago even, why are you guys always talking about politics? It's always about politics, this, that, and the thing. It's like 30 years ago, we weren't doing that.
Right.
We were talking about, stuff was happening in Hollywood, showbiz stuff, what's happening in the real world. Idiot criminals, there's always way more than you can ever get to with stupid people. But the reason we're talking about politics all the time now is because it is involved in everything.
Yeah.
You can't talk about sports without talking about politics.
True.
Whether,
gym shoes. I mean, everything's political.
Whoa. Yeah, exactly.
It's the woke crowd, it's the transgenders wanting to play against girls.
Bud Light, everything. Right.
Everything. You pick a topic, there's politics is
connected.
involved.
Yeah.
And whether you want to talk about it or not, politics is going to, it's going to reach out and touch you.
Yeah. And, we for years have had this audience of Southern working class people, and you got to stay true to your roots. But now that the show's expanded a bit, the demo we're really trying to go after is Brazilian bikini models, and it seems to be working well. We've got one.
Good results.
At least 2. Yeah.
In your mind, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
We probably should have invited them.
Yeah.
We didn't think about that.
We didn't tell them we were going to be here.
Yeah, they could have.
They could have used boots.
Yeah. Boots with a T. Yeah.
Yeah, Boots. Yeah. Obviously.
We're actually not used to being interviewed.
I know. I love it. That's why you're on the other side, right?
We're usually asking the questions.
We're trying to get that story out to everybody. Yeah.
Tell us, how did this podcast originate there?
But that is why we're trying to get your stories out to people that actually don't get in front of the camera all the time and just talk about some good Texas stuff, right? I mean, we do this just for the passion of Texas, right? Making boots. I don't take any money from the boot side of things, but it's giving back.
You should.
To the community.
Oh,
yeah, money is sweet.
Help me get the thing bigger, and then maybe we'll have a conversation on it.
We've always said that this location, Republic Boot Company, and even maybe more so this stage, is just, it's the center of Texas. It's the center of the universe.
It feels like it. When you walk through that door and you smell that leather.
I love that
Somehow everybody that walks through this door, we're connected to.
I would buy that as a candle if you had it.
It is weird how,
if we
talking about.
You know what?
Leather.
Even this guy talking to you yesterday, he listens to her, up in, where is it? Connecticut? Yeah. Where it is, Rhode Island?
Providence.
Sorry, producer, Rhode Island. Exactly. It's crazy. Yes, it is the center of the universe. And, we love it. I mean, we're trying to do great things.
Every day I have one genius idea, and I just had it right now.
What'd you have?
You know how Gwyneth Paltrow sells a candle?
It's
Gwyneth Paltrow.
It's a little personal.
Gwyneth Paltrow sells a candle that says this candle smells like. Was this a family show? She sells a candle that smells like her.
Yeah.
Her area.
You should sell a candle that says this candle smells like Texas. And then
we are actually. It's already in progress. Yeah, this candle smells like the boot shop. Everybody's like, "I smell so great in here." Well, here's the candle. Take home.
Bottle it up. I love
You can
it.
take the boot shop home.
I know.
Well, then I didn't have a brilliant idea. I guess.
Yeah.
That means
Keep
it
going.
still hasn't happened yet.
It's in progress.
It's in the progress.
The day isn't over yet.
You don't get any royalties from the sale. That's the news.
Give me more. No, but the other great thing that we do is we give back to charity, right? You guys are kind of helping the community by making fun of the libtards and all this stuff. But we're also trying to do great things by doing these different galas and raising money for different charities. I know your wife as well. She's been on the podcast, and we talked a lot about that. But you guys do a lot of those different kind of charities and raising money for the community, yeah?
It's a great way to get invited to parties.
Yeah.
Sure. And
Really fancy
free
food.
drinks. You get free
Shrimp,
drinks.
bacon wrapped shrimp.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. Wheelchairs for Warriors is our biggest. Sunshine Kids.
Yeah.
Crowdsource Rescue is one we do. Citizens for Animal Protection is one that we support.
Adopt a dog or a cat, but mainly a dog.
Vets, kids with cancer, dogs, helping people out in a hurricane. That's all we have time for.
Love it.
Yeah.
Law enforcement and
Yeah, cops. Yeah, that's true. True Blue.
Yeah.
Grimes
And,
County. Yeah.
First responders.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Plus so.
We try to reach out and help, who we can.
Yeah.
And,
I love that.
it makes, it's
good people.
It's that Stoll story of, helping others really makes you feel better about yourself. And,
Plus, if you get pulled over and you could be like, hey, remember me from the cop gala?
how many times have you used that now?
A few, yeah. Being on the Walton and Johnson Show has gotten me out of a few tickets. One time it happened in Shreveport. I was driving from Memphis to Houston on a road trip. And I don't know. There's that part in Upper East Texas where there's so many, for lack of a better term, speed traps. Like the speed limit goes from 80 to 30. And so you get pulled over and the guy's like, wait a second, who are you? I'm producer Kenny. Oh, well, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, what are you doing here? Yeah.
It worked.
I had a very similar situation a few years back. Leaving Shreveport, coming back to Houston, it just crossed into the state line of Texas, and guy pulls me over. So he asks for the license, and I give it to him, and he's reading the license. So, you live in Houston, huh? Yeah. So what were you doing up here? I was like, well, I do this radio show, and we had an appearance to do at a gun store. He goes, Walton and Johnson? Yeah. He goes, I was supposed to be at that appearance, but I had to work.
Oh, wow.
And so then he calls his sergeant and gets him on the phone, and he's like, you got to get over here. Didn't tell him why. You just got to get over here right now.
Can you go, please?
I got out of the car, walked to the back. We're on the side of the highway. Cars are just whipping by. And he is asking me all kinds of questions about the show. His sergeant pulls up, kind of comes in sideways because he doesn't know why he was told to come. And he's like,
Guns drawn.
look who I got, and he goes into this whole thing about how he couldn't get off work, so he couldn't come see us. And then the next thing you know, I stopped him on the side of the road. And they took pictures of me handcuffed, all kinds of fun. And then
that's great.
as we're leaving, Christine thought it would be funny to lean over and go, "Oh, by the way, you forgot to write him his ticket."
Wifey, come on.
We should point out, though, that not everybody that meets us wants to get us out of a speeding ticket. There are people that want to punch us in the face when they realize who we are. So we're grateful for law enforcement and oil and gas guys and military veterans.
Oh yeah, and it helps. Kenny's really tall.
Yeah.
So that intimidates people.
It doesn't. Yeah, I'm very intimidating. Yeah.
So what's next? I mean, you guys have been doing this for a long time, right? The show overall has been going since '83.
83, yeah.
Where do you see it going if it's not a secret? I don't know if you guys have those plans, but it's,
we can't keep a secret.
AI. Yeah, we're going to quit doing it soon and just have robots. Because why not?
Yeah, once the computer can do your job for you, you know, you just sit.
Why bother? We might not even be here right now. You don't know.
You have no idea.
You're watching us on the internet.
Or not.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we pretty much take it one day, one show at a time. I'm pretty sure we'll be back in the morning. You know, that's a good plan, but you can't ever tell.
Yeah.
No, the plan, I think, is to just keep doing what we're doing as long as we can. I'll do it as long as Steve wants to do it. And honestly, Steve's probably healthier than I am. So I joke I think Steve's going to outlive me. I mean, I
just don't know if I'm going to outlive Jimmy Carter or not.
There's that. Yeah. How is Jimmy Carter still alive?
I've been in hospice for over a year.
He's had cancer for like 12 years. You know?
I know.
How many healthy people have died since he went into hospice?
A lot.
And he's still there.
Are you sure he's still there? He's like,
They claim.
Bernie?
Oh, they can't wait.
He might be AI.
They can't wait to have a presidential funeral because I'm pretty sure the next presidential funeral they're going to tell Trump he can't come. You know, but all the other former presidents will be there. Why are you fondling my boot?
Why am I fondling it? Well, at the end of every show,
it is pretty sweet.
Yeah, at the end of every show, we do a boot because we are on the Republic Boot Company stage here. So guys, can check us out sometime. It's beautiful.
It's not just a clever name.
They
really do boots. These are their boots.
So these are Steve's boots. They're beautiful. You picked them out.
Tell me about this toe.
This is a McQueen toe. Steve McQueen designed this with our boot maker back there. He wanted something different, something fast, like a fastback Mustang.
Ultra cool.
Super cool. So, something very different. So this is a Nile crocodile, all navy colored with the flames coming up, and we call it our initial pattern with the Walton and Johnson in the middle of it. It's just a very classy,
beautiful
cool
boot.
Yeah, I like it.
Super cool.
Real happy. And the fit is just perfection.
I know you guys are super busy. Thank you so much for coming.
We're not that busy.
There's nothing else to do all day.
Well, if you're not,
I was wondering why you're rushing us out of here.
I think you go back there and make boots then.
If you have food, Kenny will stay all day.
Yeah.
We got J Bar M, by the way. This is fantastic. They're on the top 20 of the top 25 Texas Monthly.
Let's call it 20.
J Bar M and Edo. Go see them. It's fantastic.
Nice. East downtown.
It's really cool.
I saw the food. I figured I'd give you a chance to plug them.
Very, very good. No, these guys are great. Yeah. Oak Harbor's Financial back there as well. Got Troy Sharp.
Very nice.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
Hey, my brother. Grateful.
Pleasure.
Honored to wear your boots, my brother. You guys are cool.
you guys.
Never change.
Yeah, all right.
Don't let them change you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Awesome.